My next guest, he is a professional MMA fighter with a record of 11 wins with 1 loss. He is a former competitor on The Ultimate Fighter Season 27, and he is the owner of Diamond Dash Meal Prep. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Tyler Diamond. How you doing, Tyler?
Good. How are you, man? Thank you for having me on.
I'm doing great, man. Very excited that we're able to get you on the show and do this, man. Real exciting.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. No, I'll always make time, especially for guys like you. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. So, crazy year, 2020. How's your year been, Tyler? You know, we're towards the end, it's December.
Yeah. Uh, my year's been fine. I mean, so I signed with PFL back in like February, March, and then was expecting to fight in May, and then all this craziness happened. So,
Yeah,
uh, you know, I took the approach of I just need to control the things I can control and
for sure.
not worry about the things I can't change. So I couldn't change the fact that I wasn't going to be fighting this year. So I just dove full steam ahead with my business and said, this is a good opportunity to really dive into my business and grow it as much as I can. And that's what I did. And then I needed to put the pieces in place for it to keep going and sustain itself when I am busy with fight camp that I'm approaching here shortly.
Awesome, man. And so now you're the owner of Diamond Dash Meal Prep, correct?
Correct.
And
Correct.
so, what
Yes.
does Diamond Dash Meal Prep do, pretty much, for the audience?
Yeah, so a lot of meal prep companies they have a specific audience, which is either athletes or fitness competitors or etc. We try to encompass all that, and our whole motto is like, there's not a one size fits all thing for dieting. I think that you just need to eat balanced macronutrients. If you want to lose weight, eat a little bit less calories. You want to build muscle, have a slightly higher caloric intake than your baseline. I mean, it's pretty simple. So we have a lot of clients. We have customers ranging from elderly that just don't really enjoy cooking to people that have really busy schedules to people that actually do compete. And we're very well versed in terms of we offer plenty of options to where people can modify things and specifically order things that fit and suit their needs.
Now, I know you're out in California. So, what area is this service for?
So I'm in Butte County, and yeah, we've started really small in terms of our backyard here. I mean, in the county, I would guess that there's at least 250,000 people. So it's a lot of people to serve. And so we've started small. We're just focusing on our backyard, and here shortly in the near future, we want to start mailing our products, which there's a lot of logistics to do with that. But we're currently in the process of that, and we're really excited to start doing that as well.
Awesome, brother. So now, on the MMA side of things, you're 11-1, correct?
Correct.
So you're on a two fight win streak. You've finished off your last fight in under a minute with a submission. It was fantastic. So you're on a roll right now. You're currently signed with PFL. What's your goal going into that company now?
Oh, I'm gonna win that $1 million. I'm gonna go in and make noise. No one's gonna expect me to go in there and win it. You still got Lance Palmer, an old teammate of mine, who's a freaking stud,
Yeah.
who's gonna be favored to win it. And then you got newcomers like Bubba Jenkins and that Brandon Loughnane guy that a lot of people are really high on. They got a lot of buzz coming in, I'm sure. But
Yes.
I'm gonna be the bracket buster and go in there and win the mill.
Now, Brandon's a former TUF alum, correct?
I'm not
He-
sure. I think so. I
I
think from a long time ago.
Yeah, this was a while back, but you were, it's been a few years since you've been on the Ultimate Fighter yourself. What was that experience like?
Hmm. Man, it was an awesome experience. It was cool. It was challenging, but it was also not the most challenging thing I've ever done. I mean, wrestling by far is a lot tougher than doing that experience, but it was great, and I was grateful for the opportunity. The most importantly, up at that point, I was 9-0. I was just rattling off fights against really tough guys, and I was just like, man, I just want an opportunity. And when that opportunity came, I was so happy and fortunate about it.
Now, you were able to team up with some really great group of guys, Luis Pena, Joe Giannetti, who's been on the show before. Did you make any good relationships out of that process, or was it really just all business? Because obviously not everybody sees what's going on through the whole process.
Yeah. I mean, I made great relationships with all the guys. I liked all the guys. I think for the most part, they all liked me too. But yeah, during those 6 weeks, it was like all business for me. Like if you watch the show, that's
Yeah.
probably the sense that you got from me too, is I was there for one thing and one thing only. And that was my whole mindset. Um, but, but yeah, in the process, I care about all those guys. I think they're all great guys, and I wish nothing but the best for each and every one of them.
Nice. Now, was there a sense of awkwardness, Tyler, in that when you're looking at the fact that you're living with people that you can potentially fight with, even, the guys that were in the opposite team from you, you knew you were going to fight one of them. Was there a sense of awkwardness for you as a fighter?
Definitely. Every decision you do is like strategic, even from trying to get on the first day, getting your room. Like I didn't want to share a room with certain people,
Okay.
Brad Katona specifically, like I thought that Brad and I were going to end up fighting. I'm like, I don't want to share a room with Brad. So I end up sharing a room with Bryce, and I'm like, well, shit, this ain't much better. I'm going to probably have to end up fighting Bryce too. And lo and behold, I did, but it just wasn't in the house. It was at a different time. But yeah, like it's super awkward, waking up on fight day and it's like, good morning. See you in a little bit. It's just definitely a different experience.
Now, for you as a fighter, Tyler, you normally have different break periods between fights. So what was the mentality of rattling off, 3 fights or however many fights you could potentially have during such a short time? Was there, again, another way of strategizing, a different kind of mind process or mental process? Because I've seen when I saw you on the show, you kept it together. You're real calm, collective, all business for you. Was there a specific kind of mentality you had to have before having, potentially all those fights in a row for you? Was it nerve-wracking?
Yeah, it's very nerve-wracking, but you kind of got to have that I don't give a fuck attitude, what happens type of deal. And what the show didn't show was that I was the only guy that fought twice in 6 days. Everyone else had like a 2, 3, even 4-week break in between fights, which was huge. For me, it was like I fought, cut weight, and then had to get right back to it, which you might think is kind of an advantage too. But man, at the same time, I'm not the biggest 45er, but I'm not the smallest either. And making that weight twice in that amount of time, even though I did it correctly, was still a little tough. Yeah.
So in the tournament, again, you forge great relationships on there. Now, when you're fighting though against these people, is there a sense of you gotta maybe hold back because you still gotta keep yourself like injury free for the next fight?
Yes.
Or is it just I'm gonna just think of this fight right now and fuck it, I gotta beat this guy and that's it, period, and no matter what the cost is?
It's a mix of both of those because you don't want to go in cautious like, oh, I gotta be healthy for my next fight, but at the same time, you can't be so reckless where, it's a balance of the both. And for me, especially because I knew I was gonna be fighting twice in 6 days. That's why when I fought Dulani, it was just like, okay, let's take this guy down, take 0 damage on the feet, and just bust him up, end up submitting him or whatever. So against Dulani, really the only damage I took was my elbows were super swollen from elbowing him in the dome.
Yeah.
And then my knees had super bad, like canvas rash, which is just superficial, right? But
Of course.
so that was great. It was like mission accomplished there, because that was the biggest thing is like, dang it, because I did get picked first for DC, we didn't really control any of the fights. So it was like, gosh, I just need to get in there and beat this guy up and take no damage because my next fight is going to be really tough.
Nice. Now, you talk about your fight with Dulani. Was there any real, I guess, beef in there? I don't know if you're comfortable with me asking that question. Was there because I saw the episode. I actually saw that episode today. I could tell like he tried to get into your head a little bit. Was there any like real beef going into that?
Yeah, he tried, but he couldn't get in my head at all, and it
No.
bothered him.
Okay.
I mean, there was a little bit like I was a little bit annoyed at the time with him,
Okay.
but he knew, I knew, like everyone knew what was going to happen. So he knew.
Awesome. So, to round off like the MMA stuff, why MMA, Tyler? Why did you decide to get into fighting?
Well, it seemed like the next logical transition from wrestling for me. In high school, it kind of just organically happened by mistake. I just so happened to have guys that wrestled the same high school as me a few years before that got into the training and wanted me to train with them. And so I really enjoyed learning how to box and do jiu-jitsu, and it just kind of all organically happened for me. It wasn't like I watched it on TV and was like, oh, I want to do that. It was like, God, I'd like to, that'd be cool, and so I did, and it just, one thing led to another for me.
Did you have a favorite fighter before you got into MMA though?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Faber, because he was close by. And then when I graduated high school, I actually started training with him. And then, and he was the man, not back in the day, but especially in our area, because Sacramento's just right down the road, it's just an hour away. So everyone was just crazy about Faber. And I was too. He was the man. He beat everyone up, and I just loved his style of like being nice and loose and relaxed in there and having fun with it and his positive energy. And I took away a lot from him. And then as well as GSP. GSP was and still is one of my favorite fighters to date. Like, I tell anyone, if you want to know my outlook on fighting or how I approach it or anything like that, watch any GSP interview, whatever he says. Like, I agree 100%. Like, me and him are on the same exact path when it comes to fighting and the mindset and how it feels and this and that.
Yeah. So for me, it's real hard to really like be able to dictate. I think it is for any fight fan to dictate like who truly is the GOAT. But I think to me, GSP, Anderson Silva, those are two guys that, rightfully should be in the conversation. I think GSP is, such a very mature individual. And I've always been a fan of how he's handled himself, real mature. And, when you were on the show, that's the vibe I got. This guy's all business. He's not here to be, a TV star. He's here to take care of his business. So that's always a good thing. Uriah Faber, are you still training over there at Team Alpha Male?
Yeah, I'm still on the team. I haven't been down there in a couple weeks, to be honest. I'm up here, been dealing with the business. My wife's getting ready to have a baby like any day.
Congratulations.
And, I've got a local gym here I can train at. Thanks, man. It's awesome. So I've just been focused on the business.
I got you.
The holidays, training with local guys, and then when it's time, I'll make the transition down there, because ultimately, if I want to be successful, that's where I need to be. There's nowhere else I can be and be successful.
Absolutely. And a real quick question from, one of my friends, Alan Dennis, real pumped that I told him I was going to actually interview you. How was Dana White like? How was the experience of that?
So surprisingly, I talked to producers because I'm like, what the hell? I thought we would talk to Dana way more. And the producer, Gary, kind of mentioned that as the seasons have gone on, Dana has taken less and less and less of a role. He shows up for the filming basically, and that's really it. We had minimal time to talk to Dana. I think on day one of filming, when he did the intros, we all kind of got to talk to him like a tiny bit, but it wasn't much, surprisingly. Like in past seasons, you can watch where he goes to the house and, he talks to the guys and this, that. I think he had a lot more interaction back in the early days of the TUF than he does now.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately.
So shifting to this real quick before we go into the next topic, I just want to remind everybody that you're listening to the Critical Condition Sports Podcast. We're available on Apple Pod, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcast from. I'm being joined today by professional mixed martial artist Tyler Diamond, who is the owner of Diamond Dash Meal Prep. So shifting on to the next topic, Tyler, let's talk some sports. So NFL. Steelers fan, you've told me. They're 11-2. How are you feeling?
I'm never sold, even though they're my team. I'm never sold on them. I think there's a lot more solid teams out there. I'm not like the biggest fan in the world in terms of like I watch every Sunday because we do cook on Sundays.
Yeah.
But I do get the Twitter updates on my phone, and I try and follow along as much as I can. And gosh dang, they lost to Washington, which I thought was terrible, even though they're somewhat solid. And then they just now lost again to the Bills, who I think can make some serious noise, by the way. But I'm just never sold. I feel like they've let me down so much. I'm never completely sold on them.
Yeah, one of my good friends, she's a Steelers fan, and she can relate to your pain. It always seems like it's weird. It's weird because, they lose Big Ben last season, and they seem to have the succession plan at quarterback. Mason Rudolph was taken in the 3rd round. I lived in Oklahoma. I'm from Texas, but I lived in Oklahoma. I got to see Mason Rudolph's tenure there in Oklahoma State. It really wasn't very impressive. So the fact that they invested such a high pick on him was a cause for pause for me. Obviously, if anyone, it's not a secret that last season, it's not the guy. He's not the guy, obviously, to succeed Big Ben.
Correct.
Now, my biggest issue, I was watching that game last night. I told myself, man, like, they look old and sluggish. Back in the day, Big Ben was able to move around the pocket and be able to move out, and he was a lot faster, obviously. Obviously, age has caught up to him. But I think my biggest concern with the Steelers is their succession plan at quarterback. You can't go with Big
Correct.
Ben going into next season without having a good insurance policy. I've talked about on the show where I think that Cam Newton may be a guy to go to Pittsburgh after his tenure with the Pats is over. What do you think? Are you concerned at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I've wondered what the hell they're going to do. It seems like they'll address it when it becomes a problem almost. Like, I don't know if they're planning. I mean, I hope they are, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Cam Newton. I feel like his inconsistency is a killer. But sure. As far as them seeming sluggish, the only thing I can think in their defense in terms of that is I think they did play 2 games in like 9 days or something like that. Which in the NFL must be super hard.
Yeah,
so,
obviously.
I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm not sold. I hope the best for them. I want them to do well. I root for them, but we'll see. I'm not getting my hopes up.
Now, obviously, like, I feel like you are correct when it comes to that scheduling change. But, with, I guess, also another big thing going on is COVID and stuff like that. And, their game got, pushed back, was it like 2 to 3 times? So, obviously, that comes –
yeah,
it's caused a pause and it makes some nerves in there. How do you, as an athlete, Tyler, if you were playing in such a short period of time, how big do you think it is that your game is rescheduled? Like, how do you think you would feel if your game was rescheduled and you had to basically prepare for a different time of showtime throughout a week? Do you think that's something that could really upset your rhythm?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's just take it back to TUF. It was like I thought I was going to be fighting and then fighting again in 2 weeks. Then all of a sudden a switcheroo happened. Yeah. Weirdness happened. And it's like, oh, you're fighting twice in 6 days now. It's just like, oh, shoot. And then with that close of a gap in a physical sport, it's gotta play some type of role. I mean, you got guys that were probably beat up and still sore from the Washington game,
For sure.
Just they've had a really tight schedule. They haven't had a bye like a lot of other teams. So I think these last 2 weeks we're starting to see the wear and tear on the team personally.
Now, how confident are you in that Pittsburgh can at least make it to an AFC championship game? I don't think so right now. I'm really having my doubts. I think Kansas City is going to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC side regardless. But can the Steelers even make it to the final 2, Tyler?
I'd like to think so, but no. Something in my guts tell me that no, they're not going to make the AFC championship. I personally am high on the Chiefs and the Bills right now, those 2.
Bills. Do you have any take on what the Tennessee Titans are doing right now, though? Because Derrick Henry is an absolute beast. He's tearing the league up. That guy is just insane. More than 200 yards rushing this past weekend. I mean, do you give Tennessee a shot to get in there? Because right now I feel like, Tennessee and Pittsburgh are identical teams. The problem with Pittsburgh is they're struggling to run the football. and Tennessee's just smashing everyone, obviously with the running game. And
Correct.
Pittsburgh ended up beating them. Do you think Pittsburgh can at least handle Tennessee, in your opinion?
I'd be concerned about a rematch at this point. How both teams are looking right now, I'd be concerned with that rematch.
Now, so AFC, you have Kansas City going to the Super Bowl. Yes or no?
Kansas City or the Bills? Yeah.
Kansas City or the Bills. But, man, I'm just not sold on Buffalo, though. I don't know. I mean, I think that franchise has been, terrible for so long. It's been since 95 since they last, won a division title,
Yep.
and they're up 2 games. So
it might be the optimist in me and me wanting them to do good, because even though they beat the Steelers and that sucks, I actually do want Buffalo to do good. They've sucked for so long,
It's crazy because that quarterback there, Josh Allen, is on fire, and a lot of people had compared him to Big Ben Roethlisberger. Do you see any true comparison between the two?
Yeah, the little bit that I've watched him play, I think that's a very valid comparison. I mean, he's definitely closer to Ben than any other quarterback in the league, to my knowledge. I mean, they seem very similar. I love Big Ben. He's been awesome. I wish we could have him for another 5 years, I like Josh Allen. In fact, when I was at NDSU for college, our football coach we had there went to Wyoming.
Yeah.
So I actually watched a little bit of Wyoming football, and I feel like when I watched Josh Allen in college, I was like, man, I think he's going to translate really well. I've also said that about other quarterbacks that didn't pan out, but, Josh Allen's doing good.
Well, if you would have taken some money at that time, you would have won a lot of money, Tyler, because Josh Allen was actually labeled as the most likely to be a bust in the NFL. Man, did people get it wrong there.
Really?
Yeah. It's insane. But,
wow. Whenever I watched him, I was impressed. I was like, I think he'll do pretty good.
Well, the biggest thing again,
chance.
He does. And the biggest thing for him is coaching. Coaching makes such a huge difference. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, absolutely. There's been so many, probably some of the best players we've never heard of. We haven't heard of them because they either didn't get their opportunity or they went to the wrong team, and just sometimes there's things beyond our control that alter the course of our life. And yeah, I guarantee you there's been so many great players that we will never know about because either lack of opportunity or the stars just didn't align for them at that time, I mean, think about all the great players that, were undrafted or were on the practice squad or whatever, and then now you're hearing about them and the success story behind them. There's other success stories out there like that. It's just there's only so much room for so many people to make their way and make their name,
So you talk about GSP and how he carried himself and, how you really liked his style. Was there a specific NFL football player that you really enjoyed watching or that's your favorite?
Sorry, I lost you. Someone was calling me. Can you say that again?
Yeah. So you talked about how, you really liked GSP as a fighter. Is there a specific NFL player you really like? Yeah, who's that?
Yeah, I like Jerome Bettis. I mean, obviously he was on the Steelers.
The
but
bus.
I loved his running style. And I just love his personality too. Like, again, kind of like Faber, just nothing but positivity. And those are the type of people I like being around.
That's awesome. Were you able to watch the Super Bowl in which the Seattle Seahawks got just tromped by the Steelers?
Yep. Yes, that was the first Steelers Super Bowl of my lifetime.
Yeah.
I think I was in high school, I believe. I was super pumped. And then they beat the Cardinals and then they lost to Green Bay. But yeah, so I've actually been super lucky. They've gone to 3 Super Bowls in my lifetime, which is crazy considering I never had that high of hopes and I feel like they always let me down. It's kind of oxymoronic that I'm saying that, I guess.
Well, I'm from Texas, and I have a lot of Cowboy fans that are friends, and
Oof.
they haven't tasted
Oof.
Super Bowl championship since '95. So I mean, it could always be worse. I'm a Patriots fan. If you haven't noticed through the background, the people that are listening through the audio can't see it, but I'm a huge Pats fan. Been very blessed to see 9 Super Bowl trips, so it's awesome. But I get what
that's
you're
insane.
saying. Now, it was such a nice
Yeah.
story though for Jerome Bettis to be able to retire on the podium when he won that championship. I think that, as much of a fairy tale ending as there is, I think that's the best one when it comes to sports, in my opinion. When it comes to the NFL,
It is. which is also why, you know, not only is that because he's one of my favorite football players, but gosh, you can't ask for a better ending. Like, everyone would want an ending how Jerome went out, and it makes me super happy for him.
Yeah, especially because actually leading up, like, so they played in the Super Bowl that season. They're playing against the Colts. They ran through the teams that beat them in the regular season. So I remember seeing that and watching Jerome Bettis fumble against Indianapolis, and it looked like Peyton Manning was driving to beat him. And I felt bad, and I said, "Oh my goodness, like,
Mm-hmm.
is this really going to be like the last play of his career?" And when you watch a documentary
Yep.
about it, you know, he's telling himself like, "Damn, like, is this really it? Like, is this how it ends through a fumble?" Obviously, you know, Mike Vanderjagt
Yep.
missed the field goal. So were you able to catch that game?
Yes, I was. And yeah, it's just, that was fate. It was meant to be that he fumbled and they almost lost, but they won, and then they go to Super Bowl and he wins, and it's in Detroit. It's just, it was all meant to be.
Yeah, it's such a phenomenal story. Now, talking about the NFC side of things, who are your top two
Mm-hmm.
teams in the NFC right now? Because the Packers have overtaken the Saints for first place. They look good, very explosive offense. You know, who are your teams to go to the NFC Championship game?
The two teams you just mentioned, Saints and Packers.
Saints and Packers.
Definitely.
You don't have any doubts on New Orleans right now. Drew Brees is hurt. Taysom Hill, it's cute, you know, he can run the ball and everything like that, but I feel like there's certain limitations. And obviously, if Brees is held out, I don't really like their chances with that kind of a quarterback. Brees is getting older,
Totally.
and there's been some issues. Now, the heartbreak that New Orleans has gotten the last 3 years is insane. You're still going to take the Saints to go into the NFC title game over teams like the Rams, the Seattle Seahawks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Rams or the Seahawks. The Buccaneers would be my bracket busting type of team, but I still don't know if the Buccaneers can get past the Saints. Like, I watched that game and it was just embarrassing. Like, I just don't know. I think the Saints got the Buccaneers number, and that's why I'm still high on the Saints.
Yeah, it's very concerning, you know, especially after the very first matchup that they had. You know, the Saints were blowing them out and, you know, doing whatever they wanted to. It was Brady's first game as a Buck, and you'd see all these memes of him just staring into oblivion and just saying, "I think I made a terrible mistake." I mean, the internet has no mercy, man. That's one thing I've seen.
No,
They're definitely not. But, you know, the Bucks are it's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, there's been some Reddit freaking straight nerds that try and roast me.
Yeah.
It's the internet is a cold place.
On Reddit trying to roast you? That's insane.
Oh, dude, I've been on Reddit on a couple different occasions. Yeah, just people that live on Reddit all day. They have nothing better to do.
Yeah, that's insane. I think some people have way too much time on their hands. That's for sure. Now,
yeah.
Now in the NFC, I'm actually starting to really be high on the Rams. I had former WWE wrestler TJ Perkins on the show. He's in LA, and he's got a real belief that the Rams could really do some damage in the playoffs. I think so. When I look at Seattle, such a phenomenal quarterback in Russell Wilson. I like how he handles himself and just the maturity that he has at the position.
Yes.
Goff, solid too, very mature individual, and you know I admire that from these players right now. Do you think Seattle or the Rams can potentially take one of those spots, you know, from the Packers or the Saints?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why. I feel like the Seahawks been semi inconsistent, and then I feel like the Rams have like turned it on late. I just watched the Rams, I think on
Thursday.
I think it was Sunday actually.
No, they played against the Patriots really good. Thursday.
That's right. That's what I was watching. Yeah, and they looked really good.
They blew them out.
Yeah, they got to be up in there, right? I mean, there's no reason there's no reason why it couldn't be any four of those teams to me.
Yeah, the Rams are at third right now. They're leading their division right now. Seattle's at 5. Mm-hmm. You know, the first up in the wild card. It's a very interesting playoff picture. I think, you know, Green Bay, New Orleans would have to be up there, but I think my pick to make it to the Super Bowl is going to be Seattle. I think that they're a good football team behind Russell Wilson. They'll go as far as he takes them. And it is a little bit concerning, but the defense has really gotten a little bit better with some key additions late in the season. So I like them. Do you have anything to comment on the the worst division in football? Not just the NFC, but the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, Washington football team. It looks like a train wreck out there.
I didn't expect it. I had high expectations for the Eagles and the Cowboys, but I think I always do, and they always disappoint me as well. My brother-in-law is a huge Cowboys fan.
Oh my god, they're
so
everywhere.
I love giving him crap. I love giving him crap, but at the same time I feel bad because it actually does ruin his day. So
legit,
I can always count on every Sunday being ruined for him. And as much as I laugh, I kind of feel bad at the same time.
Oh my god, I have a good buddy of mine, Edgar, is always very disappointed. Shout out to him. Dak Prescott has been a big yeah, Dak Prescott's been such a big national topic when it comes to the NFL and football and if they're going to pay him or not. Can you offer me a take on Dak Prescott? Do you think he should do you think it's a smart decision? Because I hate to say should he get paid, because realistically, we all want to get paid. You don't want to wish someone not to get paid. But
Yeah.
do you think realistically it'd be a smart football decision for the Cowboys to give him $38 to $40 million to a quarterback that has seemed to struggle, Tyler, against good football teams? Do you think it'd be a smart football move?
I don't know. What's the backup option? I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
It's
it
a
hasn't
hard
looked
call.
really good. It hasn't looked very good. Andy Dalton was their backup quarterback. The thing is, though, so they keep losing. They won this past weekend, but if they keep losing, they're going to get a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And there's some good quarterbacks coming out of college this season. I've told friends of mine and viewers of the show that I would personally just trade them or move off them and draft a young quarterback who is going to be on a cheap contract. Because when you draft a quarterback in the first round, their contract it's a very limited contract when it comes to the kind of money that they give you, because there's caps on it. So he's going to be on a cheap contract. And a lot of people have throw in a lot of, I'm not going to say hate, but I've gotten a lot of pushback on that take. I feel like it'd be a smarter football move.
Yeah, I don't know. My gut tells me to keep Dak.
Okay.
I like Dak. I think he's got a lot of promise, but man, I don't know. Because then do you get stuck in a Carson Wentz situation where the Eagles are in? I mean,
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't know. I'm glad I don't make those decisions personally.
Yeah, they're definitely tough. You bring up Carson Wentz. As an athlete, and you can put this in perspective for me because you've been around, many different athletes. Is there such thing as the yips, Tyler? Because when people describe Carson Wentz going through some of the things that he's going through, they call it like the yips. Is there such a thing, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that term, to be honest, but so I went to North Dakota State at the same time Carson did, or Carson went there at the same time as I did, because I'm actually older than him.
Okay.
And I think he's a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal quarterback. I think what's going on right now is he's stuck in a mental rut.
Yeah.
He was getting sacked a ton, and I think it caused him to – I think that him getting sacked a ton caused him to almost panic, get in a mental struggle, and he holds on to the ball too long. And there's a lot of problems going on there this season for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. So like the yips would pretty much be what you summarized right there. It's like an all mental thing for the quarterback. Now, I agree with you. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's got a lot of tools. And when I watch Carson and seeing some of the things that he's had to put up with in Philadelphia, as far as the football team with injuries, that offensive line just being atrocious, I still believe that there's so much talent there. And, here in Texas, we have that debate, Dak or Carson Wentz. So even to this day, even though Jalen Hurts just went in and won a game when, they were in a rut with Carson, I still tell people I'll take Carson over Dak just because there's much more talent. I feel like Dak wouldn't be the name that he's become if he were in
Mhm.
Philadelphia, having to put up with some of the things that Carson's been able to put up with. So I
Yeah.
do agree with her. Now, is there a mental thing going on, do you think, though, when you have your backup quarterback win a Super Bowl championship for the team you're quarterbacking, though? Do you think maybe that whole Nick Foles effect has something to do with it as well?
Yeah, certainly, I will say the one thing that's great about Carson is he's not the type of guy who should be like vindictive or angry. Like I think he's going to support Jalen, and I think that shows a lot of character on his end.
I think so too. Now, I don't think that Jalen is the right move moving forward. I think that you invested a lot in Carson. I feel like Carson still is the future of this team
Yep.
because I believe that, again, between him and Dak, he's obviously the better quarterback. I look at that and I say, man, this guy's so talented. Now, I've heard some buzz, though, saying that they could potentially trade him to the Colts. And I think that'd be a great move for Carson. I don't know how much of a great move it'll be for Philly, but do you think Carson Wentz gets traded if you had to put money on it?
Well, I don't know what their money situation because I'm pretty sure even if they trade him, they got to pay him a bunch of money.
Yeah, it's I believe
So
$34.8 million.
yeah, so with that being said, man, maybe. I mean, so if Jalen ends up being like the guy to them, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded him. And in all honesty, I think that might be the best move at this point. I think that Carson needs a new look. I think he needs new coaching, and he definitely needs a new line.
For sure.
And you could see a total resurgence of his career after that. A lot of guys, they'll get stuck in a rut somewhere, they get shipped off somewhere else, and all of a sudden they're the man again. So who knows? Maybe that could end up being what happens.
Yeah, I think like going to the Colts, for example, the head coach there was the Eagles offensive coordinator for Carson Wentz while he was in the middle of that MVP season that he had. To me, he would have been the MVP had he not gotten hurt. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, Carson is such a great talent that I feel like it'd be very foolish. If you're an Eagles fan and you think that Jalen Hurts is the answer, no disrespect to the guy, great attitude, great leader, but there's a lot of limitations. Tyler, I've always believed that if your main game as a quarterback is running, I feel like there's gonna be very limited success when it comes to the NFL. You can win games. You can win a game.
Yep.
You can win multiple games. You can win a playoff game. We saw Tim Tebow do that. But at the end of the day, you need a guy who's a pure passer like Wentz, who has a cannon and can make plays from the pocket.
Yep.
That's my belief in that. But let me shift to this now. NBA. You're in California. How big of a deal are the Los Angeles Lakers over there?
Well, as a kid growing up, I was a Kings fan, but there seemed to be a ton of Laker fans, even though we're closer to the Kings, and it would always piss me off. I'd be like, how the hell are you a Laker fan when that's down in LA and we got Sacramento?
Yeah.
There's quite a bit. Yeah, there's especially now too, there's like a lot of bandwagon people, I feel like.
Especially with the addition of LeBron James. Obviously, that's going to
Yes.
add a lot of people coming out of nowhere. So the Lakers have made some crazy offseason moves, and by I mean crazy is just the fact that they're so loaded with talent. Dennis Schroeder, Marc Gasol, Montrezl Harrell, who they snatched away from the Clippers. This Lakers squad looks to be the best squad that LeBron's ever had. Do you think it's a lock that the Lakers repeat this coming season?
It seems to me, the one thing that's so confusing about the NBA to me is that, like in the NFL, you have some stacked teams, but overall, I feel like the whole deck isn't stacked to one side
Correct.
as it is with the NBA. Like the NBA is crazy to me how you have all these like super teams, and then you have all these other teams where I don't know anyone on the whole team. It's just
Oh yeah.
that's such a weird thing to me. And LA certainly seems like they got one of those stack the deck like dream all-star teams right now. Just from an outsider, I'm not the biggest basketball fan, nor do I know a ton, but just from my perspective, that's what it seems.
Now is California, like, are the Warriors a bigger thing than Los Angeles Lakers in the middle of their own dynasty, in your opinion? Or was it something that, like you said, there's a lot of bandwagons coming in and they were just along for that run, that brief run that they
Yeah,
had?
it seemed like when they were having that run, there's Golden State fans everywhere. Now I never see them. It's just no one was a Golden State fan growing up, like nobody. So That's interesting. People
Yeah,
are funny.
yeah. People are very funny. You know, Billy. After I think it was about a week later. So Tom Brady. I'm a huge Pats fan, so I watch. I follow the news. So when Brady announced that he was leaving, he about a week later started seeing. I kid you not, Tampa Bay Buccaneer shirts coming out. I'm like, okay, well, they're coming out. They're coming out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I always thought it was funny. Same thing here in Texas. We know when the Astros won the World Series, I just started seeing a bunch of Astros fans coming out of nowhere. And I'm like, where are these people coming from, man? It's insane. So people are funny when it comes to that
Yes.
sense of that. So the Kings, have you been paying attention to any other moves going on, or maybe last season did you occasionally watch any of the games?
I occasionally did, but honestly, I really fell off the Kings bandwagon. So I was like the biggest Kings fan as a kid.
Okay.
And then it seemed like systematically they would get rid of like my favorite players, like year after year after year after year. And then finally, like I like snapped. Like I'm just like, screw the Kings, this and that. A couple of years later, I come around. I'm like, okay, now that I'm older, more mature, it's a business, this and that, making business decisions. But I don't know. I never have the highest hopes. I don't know what's going on. It does seem like the city and the franchise wants to win. Like they just built an awesome like mega arena in downtown Sacramento. It seems like they're revamping their roster. They're trying to. So I hope the best for them. I mean, I used to be a huge Kings fan. Now it's kind of like, but I hope the best for him.
Did you get a chance to see De'Aaron Fox play by any chance?
Yeah, he was a stud.
Yeah,
He was a stud.
definitely.
So he wasn't on the team yet, but a few years ago, a bunch of the Kings, like Boogie Cousins or whatever,
Yeah.
and a bunch of those guys came into the gym and did like an MMA workout. That was pretty cool. It's crazy. I will say it's crazy how athletic those guys are on the court, but like you get them on the mats and they don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was pretty funny. But a couple of them, like and it was when Rajon Rondo was on the team too, actually, because
okay.
he came in, he sat next to me and was like touching me, and I'm like, who is this guy? And I'm like looking at him like, looks like Rajon Rondo or whatever. I'm like,
Did you get
I
to
ain't
roll
saying
with them?
nothing. No, they just they all like hit the bags, and Faber like was showing him how to punch and like all that stuff.
That's so phenomenal. Did you get any other like famous people rolling around to your gym?
Yeah, it was weird. He didn't make an announcement about it or nothing. They just all started showing up.
Jesus, that's always fun. De'Aaron Fox is a stud.
Yes.
Hoping the best for the Kings. Now, 2021 around the corner. What are you looking forward to the most, Tyler?
Dude, I'm looking forward to getting back to fighting.
Okay.
It feels almost so foreign being in there at this point because I haven't fought since October of 19.
Yeah.
So it's just such a weird feeling, like the thought process of getting back in there. But I'm super excited for it. Once I put in like the super hard work of fight camp to build off of all the improvements I've made this year, that'll be great. And just winning that $1 million and totally shocking everyone, that'll be awesome.
Absolutely. Now, next year, do you keep tabs on the UFC or Bellator or any of that good stuff?
Yeah, I still keep tabs on them. I mean, the UFC's on TV. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fight fan either, to be honest, but I keep tabs pretty good.
Did you see that Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier fight announcement?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that they're doing that.
I think so too. Who do you have winning this fight? Because I've talked to a lot of people and I tell myself, and I've watched this. I'm an avid fan of it. Dustin. I like Dustin. I feel like he's got a legit shot to win this fight.
Yep, he does.
Do you? Okay, so because a lot of people are telling me that there's no way, like that Conor's gonna smoke him, and that it's 100% fact certain that Conor's gonna be able to win this fight. So it shocked me. It's really shocked me a lot. I feel like this fight's gonna be very competitive. I don't know who's gonna win this fight. I seriously don't know who's gonna win this fight. I wouldn't bet any money on it because how could you count Dustin Poirier out? So you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Poirier's got a huge shot. I do think that Conor will win for the fact that
Okay.
if you look at historically rematches, typically the guy who won first wins
Yeah.
the second time as well. Typically, not always.
Yeah.
But so I got Conor winning, but I think it's gonna be a dog fight. Um, gosh, we'll see. It's just so crazy thinking about these matchups, and even though it happened so long ago, it's a completely different fight now. Like I can't even imagine Poirier getting finished like that ever again. I think he's so polished and well versed now. Like I'm just excited for that fight.
Definitely. Max Holloway's in a fight Calvin Cater the week before.
Ooh,
Could you offer any insights on that one?
dude, that is a crazy fight. Like Calvin Cater has flown under the radar.
Yeah.
So he beat my teammate in his UFC debut. And when I watched that fight, I'm like, dude, this guy's legit. And dude, he could beat Max. Like he's got such a good double jab cross. He's so long, and Holloway's long too. And Holloway has such crisp boxing. Like I love that Holloway doesn't put everything into every shot, and he's just like real calculated with the shots. But dude, I can see Calvin possibly pulling an upset here and winning that fight.
Definitely. I wouldn't consider an up. To a lot of fans, it would consider an upset, but I agree with you. I think Calvin Cater's such a talented guy and
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal, and I do agree he's flown under the radar a lot when it comes to that. So real quick before we end this, going back to your MMA grounds, is there specific teammate that you really just absolutely enjoy training with, somebody that you really have enjoyed, or someone that's just been such a great role model in the sport of fighting to you besides Uriah Faber?
Yeah, man, I could go on about that for so long because the great thing about my team is
Yeah,
how many guys and how many resources we have. Like when I first got there, a guy named Vince Murdoch on our team, he just fought in the Contender Series.
yeah,
Stud. He like really took me under his wing and like made it his mission to like help me like bring me up within the team. And you had guys like Eric Sanchez that kind of did the same for
yeah,
me, and guys like Andre Feely and Anthony Avila that like really helped me out. And like I enjoy working with all those guys.
yeah.
I enjoyed working with Chad a ton. I love Chad like as a person, as a teammate. And then things have definitely changed on the team. Like, Chad's gone and roles have kind of shifted a little bit, but I love working with Clay, having Clay in the room, like a positive guy.
Yeah.
I love having Sage in the room. I don't get to work with him because he's so big,
Yeah.
but I just love having that guy in the room. I mean, like I said, I could go on and on and on right now. Everyone on the team is awesome.
Awesome.
Everyone rubs off on each other, and it's just a great environment. And it's just a blessing that I even have those resources at my disposal.
What is another goal besides winning that $1 million for PFL in the sport of fighting, Tyler?
Man, in the sport of fighting, that's it. It's just to make a bunch of money. And just when people do think about me solely for fighting, is that I was a guy who went in there and gave it 110% every single time. Like, never will be an easy fight. I will never give up or, ever show an ounce of quit. It's just not in me. It's just not who I am. And that's the mark that I want to leave fighting. And I feel like I barely scratched the surface. I mean, I'm 29 years old and I finally made the breakthrough as far as signing with PFL and going to be making great money here. So I just want to make as much money as I can, use that money to some more like business ventures and like spend my money responsibly. And that's it.
Awesome. Anything else you want to say, Tyler, for the audience before you sign out?
There's a lot of things.
Yeah. Have at it, man.
Stay positive through this really crappy and weird time. Don't be a freaking mask social justice warrior. If you want to wear a mask, great, good for you. If someone doesn't want to, worry about your own self.
Yeah.
And unpopular opinion there, but people just need to quit worrying about what other freaking people doing and focus on them. If you're scared, stay home. If you're not, go about your day and fuck Governor Newsom and anyone
There you
else
go.
that inhibits people from running their essential business to pay their essential bills. So that's all I got there. I think it's all crock as shit and pisses me off.
Awesome. And where can people follow you or find you online, Tyler?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just Tyler Diamond, and that's where I be. And I'm pretty active on all of it. I love it. So
awesome. I'm gonna have those accounts linked in the description below. Tyler, thank you for joining us on the show today, man. It's such an honor. Fantastic. Thank you.
Heck yeah. Thanks, dude. I enjoyed it. And I'll have to catch up with you after I win a couple fights with PFL and then end up winning the mill or something.
Absolutely. Look forward to. And to be honest with you, if anyone underlooks you going into that'd be a very huge mistake. Everyone needs to watch out for Tyler Diamond. Thank you for coming on the show again. To all my audience, thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.